Hello Nerfers, back again. Now, the story last time, I'd made this wire frame of the interface, basically copying this, as you can see. So then I made the wire frame where the magazine's going to go and what I'm going to do with the buttstock, which is going to slot in there, something like that. Something like that, anyway. So what I needed to do, I wanted to make really sure that this connection is going to be strong. So what I've done, hot off the press, I printed this part. I did it on a super fast speed, it only took 2 hours. I will just want to see it fit. So, join me in this, this is going to be exciting, it's the first time it's happened. So I've cut off those two detail bits there for a very good reason you'll see in a minute. But let's put this on, let's see if this goes in and doesn't come out. Oh crap, it snapped! But it went in. Okay, yeah, definitely some problems there. But it went in, let's see. Nope, that's not going to come out despite that crack just there. So that's good, that's a good thing. Now, the reason I cut off these bits here, they were protruding above this. And I need to get them on, get them off, so I can fit this on. So that clips down onto the Picatinny rail, like so. And the reason I need to do that is because I also printed these. Now I haven't gone religious, it is a guide, little slot there, put it in like that, and that just clips in, and that allows me to know how far I can print this up the sides and where it's going to meet. So that fits on there, and we slide it back until it meets up with our little guide. There we go. Now that is sitting on where it's supposed to be sitting on, so I can actually see now where things go over, and that is almost touching. So I can now see the proportions of those arms, how far I've got to bring them in. That's got to go up a tad, not really worried about that. What I can do is either have just supports going straight up, or I'm thinking what would be better off would be to have a support coming out from here to go up inside there. So if, let's do a quick demo. Okay, so quick demo. So that's the inside profile of this thing, right? And this is the buttstock is about a centimetre, probably a centimetre and a half below that. So it's roughly there. So all I have to do is bring up an arm like that on the inside of that, either side, and just extend it along. So that will cap the wall, and it'll go as long as it needs to be. In fact, I'll take that one off, take that out, and put that one on. So you see what I'm saying? There's not a lot of the space there I need to actually fill. Now, one thing I didn't do, and this was deliberate, fortunately, it wasn't a mistake. I didn't allow for that because I wanted to be able to mark on this exactly where I want to take plastic away. So as you see, I've put this curve in there for the reach, and there's a bit of a gap there, it's not too bad, so I'm going to take it back a bit lower, but there also some has to come out, so I've got to work that out. But I need to mark it on there so I know what's going on. I could very easily use this if I get in the right place and work out, but I don't want to leave virtually nothing there. So I'm thinking more than likely the easy thing to do would be to extend this curve back further. That will give me a nice straight strong bit there before I start cutting out plastic there. And so the next thing to do, just a quick thing I can do right now, is place that there, just leave it like that, get my tape measure out and see what sort of distance we're working with at the moment. So that's 13.5 inches. And the idea with the buttstock is probably to cut this off in this brown plastic that comes around, holds the magazine and comes in the back. I'll put a slot in it and this can just slot up into it, and I might even try to make it like an adjustable buttstock, so it's got an inch or so it can go in and out. So with that roughly there and that roughly there, we're looking good at 14 3/4 inches, which is fine, and it's going to be a little bit of a higgly-piggly, but that's fine with me. So the next thing is to work out that cutout in there, draw this completely including the magazine, which is a very easy thing to do on the computer, because I simply take the piece that I've drawn that is the top of the magazine, which is this bit. This is the big hole that holds that. This one's smaller that stops it getting past there. Attach it to this bit, which is just plain attach, then continue the drawing along. I have made the piece I'm working with slightly smaller than the magazine, and the width of that is 59, and the width of the blaster body is 62. So 3mm I can play with, but I could make it 4 or 5. That's not a really great issue. It's not going to affect much back there. This is the only area it's going to be touching me. It's not like I'm going to be pushing any part of the body up against my body. I'll just be holding the front. So I could take that 3mm either way to give me enough plastic to go around the magazine housing, which I probably might have to, but that won't be a great issue. Oh, just before we go, a couple other things I've noticed here in these making this an adjustments. I made a few guesses, and there's a couple of things wrong, like, well, not wrong, just little errors I can clean up. There's a gap there, so I've got to bring that in a bit, so I will make a mark telling me what I've got to do. And there's a bit of a gap there. This line I could bring in. I could bring this in like 2mm before it goes back up there. It's because the bottom corner of that is curved, so you have to allow for that. That's the plan. And having said that, now I've got to draw that, which is not going to be a great problem, because it's just going to be an open box for the magazine housing to fit in, and a thing for the buttstock to slot into. And then I've got to do some details. But I'm going to draw it really nicely, and I'm going to print it at dynamic or even super quality, which means it'll probably be 13-15 hours of a print. But I have worked out a system that my filament doesn't keep getting jammed, snapping and ruining a print. So I'm hoping I can get it all set up tomorrow, put it on before I go to bed, and in the morning, ta-da! Whole new buttstock, which will be great, which will be absolutely wonderful. Now, sometimes when we do this 3D printing and you got 69% of your print done, and it's a gigantic print, a lot of stringing I know, but that's probably why I haven't got a cooling shroud on it. It does get a little bit fraught when things like this happen. And of course I had the camera off when it finished. But there we go. 46 some hours of printing for one little bit. But it did have a lot of fill in it. So, got a lot of cleaning up to do, but I'm just going to let the machine cool down, then turn it off and let it completely cool before I even try and remove it from the base plate. Because I printed it with a raft because it had a very small footprint. Right, so this has been cooling long enough. It's ice cold to the touch, so I'm going to try and get this off. Easy. Best way to do it. Right guys, here we are. Back at the workbench. Clean this up. I'm a little bit reticent about pulling things off, because it can be tough. If you remember correctly, when I pushed this, the test piece in the back of the blaster, it went, oh crap, it snapped. Snap, just up here, through this, and that's quite a thin piece. That's all support material there. So what I've done to alleviate that is one, instead of printing it vertically with the layers going that way, which makes it really easy to separate, I've printed it that way, horizontally. So that's one. And number two, you might be able to see there, I actually printed a hole straight through both of those, wherever the other one is. Back further in there. And you can see there's one hole there and there's the other hole there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to gently drill those holes out with just a drill bit in my fingers, in my hand. And I found myself some 6mm bolts, which I'm just going to cut off the ends and glue in there. Almost perfect length, which is cool. Yes, so that will just make it strong and give it a little bit of extra strength. Right, after a fair bit of banging on things and drilling out things, cleaned it up a bit, got 2 bolts in there, nice and strong. Now you may notice there's still a bit of support material left on these surfaces. I found it actually makes the fit a little bit tighter, which I'm pretty happy with. And that goes over there, and you're going to love this, guys. Click, click. Joints all match up. Hand can fit in really comfortably. It's not a great issue for me. The back bit goes on. So the back bit's on there. Just got this clamp in there to hold it just in a line. Nice, comfortable hand grip. Nice length, really nice. That's the first time I've done that. That's great. The only problem is this is a bit too narrow to fit on there. Now I could grind out some inside of that. Can't grind out down much of that though. Right. As you can see, after a fair bit of grinding, I've got it to fit. It sits a lot lower than that, but I'll work that out later with the barrel. So that fits in there. A lot of grinding. That fits in there. So all the wiring to the motors is going to come across along the top trench and just into the body there, going up to the battery. Goes there. That clips together rather nicely, if I do say so myself. And that goes on there. Yeah, so as you can see, I'm going to have to do some pretty radical work here. So have the part come up to about here and then design a different one that comes out, maybe has a step in it to incorporate clearance of this that goes around that, and at the back here I'll just have it slope down just slightly so it right up here. So it just comes down and touches the back there. So that's it for now. Ground a hole in either side, clearing out the muck in there. Well, I got that in reverse in the printer, which was genuinely brilliant of me. So, time for lunch. Moving on. Now, the next thing was to model the new cover on this that goes over here. But what I need to have is this in a precise location so I can do the measurements correctly, and with this all loose, it basically means I have to fix this all together how it's going to be, so I can then model that and get all the measurements right. And in order to do that, I need to have the my piece of PVC, which I'm using for the barrel, attached and through the body, because what I want to do is use Yes, as I was saying, so I wanted to use the original muzzle, which I believe this is this. That way I can attach any part I want to print on the end. And in order to do that, I've got to clean out the body. It's full of bits and pieces that are in the way. So, I've got to do that first. And once I've done that, so that goes in there like that. It's got to clear a bit more there. And hopefully it'll go through the same hole, and I'll work out some way of fitting it. You know, if I can drill all that out in there and have it go right through, or even stick on the end, yeah, that might work. Out with the Dremel. I'll put some music on and we'll get started. By looking at that side on, I can see there's something at the back holding it up. Is that the same pin? Looking at it like that, you can see it's pretty even all the way along. I'm just going to put it in here, see if it sits in without the butt at the moment, see if I can actually close the case, which I can easily. Yay, yay! So, chuck the buttstock in, fit that somewhere. And by the simple expedient of putting this in here, putting the other half of the shell on, we should be able to get it in position. Okay. So, that's pretty good, and that's coming pretty much out of the centre of that hole. I'm pretty chuffed. So, I will clamp this together so it's not going anywhere. And now I can work on actually securing this in. So what I've got to do is just simply work out where to put screws in here. It's not going to hit anything else on the inside. Now I've done the screws. I've had to put one up there because that one wasn't going through the grey plastic, so I've had to do that on both sides. And I've used different coloured screws so I know where they go. That one still needs a bit of work. I'll get back to that. I'm working on putting the buttstock on, and what I've done, I've cut myself a bit of wood that fits inside the butt, like so. So that way when I put the screws through, it'll have something solid to hold on to. Now what I've got to do is just mark where these pins are, and an easy way of doing that is just a bit of paint on them. You don't even need a paintbrush, use a screwdriver if you want. This paint's pretty gooey anyway, so just put a bit of paint on each of the holes. Sorry, on the screw posts, as they're called. Now these don't have to be precise, they just let me know where to drill the holes. But what I need to do is when I put it down, make sure it's going to meet all the clearances, and just press it down gently over each of the posts, and I should have 4 nice little green marks. And what I'll do, I'll just use my scroll saw to cut around them. I don't need to drill holes. There's my little bit of wood cut to fit. Just goes in there like that. That clips on over the top. Everything matches. So just to make sure that's doubly solid, I've got some liquid nails somewhere. Just going to give that a gob of that with my 3D printed spreading tool. So here we go, getting it the right way up, I hope. Yes, there we go. A bit on top. There we go. There we go. So nice and strong, and that goes in there like that. So now I know by putting it just there like that, I can drill anywhere along here. So I could just put a screw through the centre of each of those.